I hope they don't mind not seeing my mouth that I spent tens of thousands of dollars on.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
I mean, my mom spent money on. All right.
Okay, 22 seconds in, nobody is watching.
Okay,
How do you
perfect.
feel?
Well, all right, I'm going to tell you all my deep, dark secrets.
Yeah, get them out now.
Well.
Oh, one person's watching. Hi.
Okay.
Thanks for watching.
I was technically married in 1995 and I never got divorced. All right.
How does it begin? How does this work?
I'll press record.
Okay, they left.
Oh, damn. Oh, wait, no, they're back.
Oh, they're back. Or it's a new person. Hi.
Oh, hello.
Thanks for watching.
I will press record, and then I'll say hello, you'll say hello. I'll just make sure that I see both of our lines going.
Okay.
Then I will do a little bit of an intro that I wrote out.
Do you need to close the window?
I probably should for sound, right?
I don't know.
It's so hot, so if you start sweating, I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
All right. So,
Oh, I guess can you people comment? I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Maybe it'll just pop up if somebody. If you want to comment, you can. If you want to ask a question, you can. Or if you want to stay silent, you can also.
So what'll happen is I'll do this intro and
Okay.
then oh, you can see all my notes.
I can see them.
So I'll ask you some questions about your childhood.
What?
And yes. And tell me, what was your biggest fear? And then we'll go into how you got into the job with mainly a focus on building and costuming.
Okay.
Touring TYA, but we can obviously also talk about like you performing. But we haven't talked about costuming or building puppets at all on the podcast. So I would love to hear as much about that as possible.
Okay.
And then your personal adventures and stories in the world of creating costumes and puppets for kids. And then at the end, big question, how did your work in Children's Day to propel you forward? That's like a big part of the podcast, you know. So.
I know.
And yeah, do you have any questions for me before I hit record?
You like to keep this pretty serious. No joking about ghetto theater. I mean, there was the one interview you did where he talked about some of the ghetto experiences of performing in gym and cafetoriums.
No, absolutely. I want to talk about like the gooby stuff. Like
I can't always mention names if it like ruins a company's
so I had two guests where one, it's more obvious where like I couldn't say what it was. So if there's some things
this one over here.
Yeah, and like it's really obvious, but like we just couldn't say because I also didn't know what stuff we were going to bring up that like we're really not allowed to say about certain backstage things, and then we ended up not talking about it. But if there are certain companies you're like, oh, we can't talk about that, I can easily just snip.
Okay.
For like after fact, like I can't say that name.
Okay.
And yeah, but I want to hear like you know, if you have stuff where like, oh, we were in this place and it was awful, I want to know.
The Paddington costumes got caught in that, you know, the Suez Canal when that ship in Egypt got stuck.
Yes.
That caused a situation for setting some. So that's kind of a cute story.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about
it. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. I don't know. We once fixed hotel key cards on Dinosaur. We once fixed some mouth plate with hotel key cards on Dinosaur Train. I wouldn't want to say who built the puppets because it's not their fault that we had a crack in a mouth plate, but that might be a fun story. I don't know.
I want it all.
Okay. We should just start.
All right.
Think about it.
Hello. Can you say hello really quick?
Hello, this is Arlee Chadwick.
Okay, perfect. I see your lines moving. All right. Great. All right, so we're going to get into it. Today's guest is puppeteer and puppet designer and fabricator Arlee Chadwick. Arlee puppeteered off-Broadway, nationally, and internationally in The Very Hungry Caterpillar Show, John Tartaglia's Imagination, Jim Henson's Dinosaur Train Live, That Golden Girls Show, a puppet parody, multiple live shows with Sesame Street, and danced regionally in productions from Colorado to Ohio.
I've never worked in Ohio.
Really? Oh my god.
You're thinking of the Carousel Dinner Theater,
Yeah.
and there are 2 Carousel Dinner Theaters. I worked at the one in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Oh my god. Okay, and then I'll change that to, and danced regionally all over the country. Arlee's work as a puppet builder and costume designer and stitcher was seen in New York and across North America in shows with Rockefeller Productions, such as Paddington Gets in a Jam, That Golden Girls Show, and The Very Hungry Caterpillar Show, the Swedish Cottage Marionette Theater, New York City Ballet, Summer Theater of New Canaan, and the Theater for a New City. She shares her building and performance gifts with us on her channel. She shares her building and performance gifts with us on her channel, Puppets by Arlee, which you can find in this episode's show notes. Arlee has taken a break from creating, teaching, and performing to sit down with me in my Washington Heights apartment to discuss her work as a puppet builder and costumer in the New York City area. Arlee, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
That'll be snips and so cut. All right, great. Great. How are you on this autumnal day?
How am I? I'm good.
Good.
I'm very excited to be on this podcast because I am a longtime listener, first-time guest.
I thank you so much.
I've listened all the way from the Stephen episode.
Oh my gosh, yes. The Stephen show. The Stephen show is something.
And I'm a fan of the Dinkies.
The Dinkies.
I want more Dinkies. I like the Dinkies.
Okay. I will. More Dinkies will be coming out between season 1, which is this, and season 2. I'll put out a couple more little things. Your name appeared in the most recent Dinky episode.
Oh, really?
Yes. I thank you for.
I haven't listened yet.
Oh, okay. You shared with me a bunch of wisdom that you had on the road, different hotels.
Living in the hotels.
Oh yeah. I have a whole section that's like, and tips for you.
Yeah.
From Arlee.
Yeah. Turning a drawer upside down to make a little table on the bed.
That was genius.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even have a drawer in this apartment to turn upside down.
Oh, so you're taking the road dog ways and bringing them here in the house.
Yes. So my Washington Heights apartment doesn't have a table in it. Like, I don't have a kitchen table.
You barely have floor space.
I barely have floor space. And I don't have a set of drawers that I can take out and turn upside down to make a table. My clothes are all in baskets on a shelf in my closet. I would tell you to go open it, but don't go in there.
Oh, I won't, no.
There were things on the floor earlier, and I just threw them all in there. I have a lot. I'm getting headshots done tomorrow, so I've been.
Oh, congrats!
Oh, thank you. I've been so stressed about it.
Oh, no. You look beautiful. You're castable.
Thank you.
I would cast you.
Oh my gosh, I'm currently bridging.
You're bridging?
I'm bridging.
You're bridging.
I'm bridging the gap between youth and adulthood, like this podcast. But actually, like roles, like
You've played little kids.
I've spent a career playing little boys.
Yeah. And
for
animals.
Little kids and animals. And now I think I'm ready to play adults, and I think I have to play adults.
The beard helps.
The beard helps.
Because there aren't many little kids with beards.
No. Except, like, I knew like one. I know. I will be shaving it tomorrow. But during my headshot session, because I'm doing some sexy dad shots.
Oh
with
yeah.
this, and then I'm doing
Sure, like
babyface.
or maybe you could play young professional or like new cop on the beat.
Can you imagine me being a police officer?
Yeah, you'd be the good cop.
I'd be like, oh, you're
And then-
under arrest.
A cop for maybe like I don't know, like a nice town like Peoria, Illinois, or or maybe you could play. You know, you look very historical. Like you look very Dickensian, like a Dickens. Like you're out of. You look like Scrooge. What? Bob Cratchit. You have a Bob Cratchit look. Have you been in what's the name of the famous? It's totally escaping me. What's the name of his famous story? Christmas.
A Christmas Carol?
Christmas Carol. Thank you. Yeah, you look like a Bob Cratchit from Christmas Carol.
I've done it 10 times.
Have you?
I've
See,
only-
I could do casting. Look at that.
Oh my god, I can't put any of this in the show.
Oh,
maybe
okay,
I will,
I'm
maybe
sorry,
I will.
maybe
But
not.
no, I will tell you
This is
that
for
I did play
the one person on the stream.
Yeah, thank you.
It
Stephen
might be
Fala.
me. I'm not
Oh
sure.
my god. I was a Cratchit kid growing up. When I started performing, I was too tall to be Tiny Tim. The only time I was ever too tall to be something. But I was Ned Cratchit and Peter Cratchit, and then when I was 15, we would do a shorter version of Christmas Carol on Saturday mornings for kids, and in that, I was Bob Cratchit. And it was the same script, just abridged, and then the theater would clear out, and then that afternoon and that night, I would go and I would be like Topper or something, which usually Topper should be older, but like they liked me and they let a 15-year-old play a sexy man.
I don't know who Topper is.
It's exactly, he has nothing to do with the show.
Oh, okay.
And then on the national tour,
Wow.
I was...
You're on the national
I was
tour?
on the national tour. I played Peter Cratchit, but I was 23, and the other Cratchits were actual real-life children.
Oh, this is the one where you were the only adult among.
Yeah.
kids.
Oh, yes. We discussed this in our
In the Puppet
in the
Mobile.
Puppet Mobile, in the City Parks Puppet Mobile. And that was a time. But yes, so I have. And then I was, speaking of Dickensian, I was Edgar Allan Poe
Oh.
in a documentary series about Philadelphia once.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, I'll be posting a throwback from that soon, actually.
Oh, that'd be great.
So,
I made a Marionette Christmas Carol on my channel. You should go watch it.
wait.
Oh, someone gives us a thumbs up.
Oh my god.
Yay,
Wait,
yay to
I'm
you.
actually gonna write this down. Where's my notes at?
But I didn't know you yet, so I cast Michael Lester as Scrooge.
Oh, I can't wait to see.
He was pretty good.
All right, so I'm gonna start asking you some questions.
Okay.
And I'll be weaving things in and out.
Okay.
In editing. In editing. You know. All right. So, here we are. We're in New York City. Arlee, we have a lot of catching up to do. Wait. Oh my god, did I say that how we know each other? Oh my god, no. Oh my god.
How do we know each other?
How do we know each other? So Arlee and I work together at the Swedish Cottage Marionette Theater in Central Park, and we spend some time in the Puppetmobile together, bringing free theater out to all 5 boroughs of New York. And during that time, we have caught up with each other, caught our lives up a little bit, but I never found out what kind of things you were doing when you were like a little kid. Like, what games were you playing?
As a little kid, I would, my parents have a great big backyard, and they also watch a lot of PBS. So I remember as a little kid going out into the backyard and pretending and playing Masterpiece Theater in the backyard. I pretended to be British. I would practice my British accent walking around in the backyard, playing in the dirt. So I guess that's one of my earlier memories of of theater as a young theater person.
I love that combination of backyard dirt and theater. That's so raw. That's how the ancients did it.
Yeah.
Did you want to be an actor when you grew up?
I either wanted to be a comedian, a veterinarian, or a dancer. And my mom told me that 2 of those don't make a lot of money. And then I never really decided until I'm still not decided.
Well, you know, you've done half of those things professionally.
Yeah, not a veterinarian. Make that clear.
Unprofessional veterinarian. The back room. Ooh, I don't like that. Where was I? I was listening to some radio story about backroom tile surgery, and it just makes me uncomfortable to this day. I can't put that in the podcast.
I don't know what that is.
It's like when you go get surgery, but not in a hospital.
Oh.
It's like
Yeah, I had a friend who was addicted to like plastic surgery in Mexico.
oh no.
She got her lips done for like $20.
Did they look good?
I mean, kind of. For $20. Why, you think I'm having something done?
No, my friend wanted me to get Botox on the cruise ship.
Don't, come on.
I know. I was like, no.
Don't do that.
I'm still 28. I don't want to.
No, you don't need to put any needles in your face yet.
Not yet.
Ever.
I'm not saying I haven't had work done. I just haven't had that done.
Good.
All right. Do you remember seeing theater when you were in elementary school?
I grew up in Boulder, Colorado, and there is a pretty successful locally owned dinner theater there called the Boulder Dinner Theater. And actually Colorado in the 90s was kind of a haven of dinner theaters. There was a lot of dinner theater activity. And I remember my first show was I was probably like early elementary school. My folks took me to a production of The Unsinkable Molly Brown there, probably 1988, something like that. Yeah. And I had been to several shows there, but I don't know if it ever translated that I wanted to do it, but I did really enjoy going to those shows.
Do you remember what you ate?
Oh, why yes, they have they still have it. They have a really, and all dinner theaters should have this. And as they say about dinner theater, it's not exactly dinner, it's not exactly theater. But the thing to get at all dinner theaters, and especially at the Carousel Dinner Theater that I worked at, which is in Fort Collins, Colorado, is the chicken cordon bleu. You can buy them frozen, and then when you heat them up, they're delicious. And if you don't know, it's a chicken product around ham and cheese, and then that is breaded. And it's really good, even though it's like frozen food, and people love it. It's a big seller. So yeah, the chicken cordon bleu at any dinner theater in Colorado, I recommend it.
You heard it here. Check the link in the show notes.
Have you worked at a dinner theater?
I have not worked at a dinner theater.
But you are from Pennsylvania.
I'm
Closer to New York City, so see, Colorado is isolated. So shows either have to come in to the Denver Center, which is kind of the only roadhouse in the state, and then you're isolated otherwise. So I think that's why the dinner theater industry popped up so much.
I've been to one dinner theater show ever, I think, and there were some heavy pours there. Because the actors...
The alcohol?
Yeah.
Okay.
The actors serve you, and so
Yeah.
The heavier the pour, the bigger the tip.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And it was good wine, too.
Nice.
Yeah. Good mashed potatoes.
That's good.
Yeah. Good buffet.
It was a buffet?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yours was like
Plates.
Oh, someone came around.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And intermission was always terrible because you have 15 minutes to do all of desserts, and it's extremely stressful. And then you gotta
Oh.
get back and try not to look frazzled on stage.
Oh my gosh. So then you ended up working at one of these dinner theaters then.
Yeah, I worked at the Carousel Dinner Theater. I was in a production of Cats. That was my favorite one that we did. And this is one of my favorite stories. Our stage manager came backstage and he said, "Everyone, please watch out. There is a pepperoni on downstage left." And we didn't serve pepperoni at the dinner theater, which means that somebody came to the dinner theater with pepperonis and then threw one onto stage. And I tried not to, I did slip on it and I made a huge grease stain across the stage. But more questions about my glamorous life as a as a theater professional. It was an epic production though. It was fun. We would like walk on the tables and stuff. It was really great.
That's so raw.
Yes.
I'm just thinking of someone like throwing pepperoni on stage like it's dollar bills.
You know what we really, another food thing that was really weird is at Hungry Caterpillar and children's theater shows do this a lot where they either sell it as an extra incentive or just invite all audience members up to come on stage afterwards for pictures. And I've done it with adult shows, with the Golden Girls show, but Hungry Caterpillar, because it's all kids for some reason, the stage would get coated in raisins. And I'm not sure why this is. Either parents are bringing like raisins as snacks for kids, and then kids are just like leaking raisins all over, and it gets smeared like we had to like clean raisins off of and the problem with raisins is when it gets smeared onto the floor, it doesn't look like raisin anymore. It looks like poo stains. So yeah, our poor stage manager, she seriously had to mop after each like photo meet and greet because of the raisins. That's a problem. So watch out, you young theater creators. Watch out for the raisins. You'll have to clean those up.
I love children's theater so much. I also love raisins. I think that is one of the most random things to have happened to fruit. Like someone was like, I know, I'm gonna dehydrate these
dry
grapes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad idea.
Oh no, I love raisins.
And I don't know. I would prefer something that's not sticky. And then another thing is parents always think that they need the kids to have snacks, and then the kids, they come up with the Cheeto dust on their hands and they want to touch the caterpillar and you're holding it and you're like you try to keep the sticky fingers off of them. It's a process.
Oh my gosh. So
because it can't be like washed. You have to you use shout wipes to surface clean it. But, you don't want your puppet that's very expensive or takes a lot of 3 months to build. You don't want Cheeto dust on your puppet, on the star of your show.
So did you have certain ways that you had to deter the kids and parents from touching these things with sticky fingers? Or did you just pull them around and say no?
I mean, every puppeteer kind of used a different method. I would maybe stand up and just try to get out of reach. Yeah.
And so were you the one that built the caterpillar?
There's been several renditions. 2017, I led the build of the off-Broadway production for Rockefeller Productions. It was 75 puppets, and I built, and then I rounded up fabricators to also help with the build, and then there were 3 more productions because they sell productions to other countries and other theaters. So I've made 3 sets of the actual caterpillars.
Oh my god!
And so that's the baby caterpillar and 2 hero caterpillars, the fat caterpillar and the butterfly.
Were you working directly with the designer, or were you just kind of given instructions and they were like, good luck?
Um, the that is something that the head of the company would navigate, because when you're working with a licensed character, you have to be sure that their design shows up in the puppet that's made. And there's kind of like a learning curve when you take a 2D picture and then you create it into a 3D object. And sometimes when you're using artwork, like the Eric Carle artwork that he makes that's all crazy and from different angles, it actually isn't real. You know, like one illustration would be one shape 3D and another illustration would be another, you know, because sometimes the eyes are like on the side of the face or sometimes they're here. So you have to like navigate what they want to combine all of those looks into, like what they decide should be the 3D look. And sometimes it is hard to find what the client wants when it becomes a 3D object. And you know, it's their property. They have to approve it. They're on the line if it doesn't look like the essence of the character. So that's tough. That is a process that you go through. And at Rockefeller Productions, they do a great job navigating the relationship between the companies that own the characters and how it comes out in the puppet design. But yeah, that is one of the difficult parts of puppet design when you're working with somebody else's characters.
I got to see snippets from that show when it had a special performance up at the Bronx Zoo recently, and it looked like they actually popped out of the books. So great job.
Yeah, I don't know if you're looking at one of mine. You know, I've made several. Maybe
True.
Maybe you are. Maybe you aren't. But yeah.
Was that a challenge in part of the puppetry as well? Honoring these 2D characters and bringing them to life in a certain way where it still makes something two-dimensional live.
Well,
in
that
the
was
3D
more
world.
in the decisions of the director of the show. But yes, that is a decision you have to make. Like same thing with the puppet design. Is the performance design doing the character licensing justice? And we ran into that all the time with V. Like on My Little Pony Live, the company Hasbro, which is a toy company, we were sent a memo that said the My Little Ponies are not horses. So we were not allowed to act like horses on stage. And, you know, we had spent some time in rehearsal, like pawing our feet and neighing and like things like that. No, we had got it all wrong. The My Little Ponies are little girls. So they need to do things that little girls would do, like, I don't know, nuzzle each other's noses and stuff. So so that happens too. Like the performance has to, and big time with Sesame Street Live, because those characters are licensed and owned, and Sesame Workshop would often send, Sesame Workshop. The company used to be called Children's Television Workshop, but they would send representatives to come check our shows to be sure that we weren't performing in a way that was out of line with what the essence of the characters are. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a...
You must have had that on Paw Patrol.
We did. So
because you have to match the cartoon.
Yeah. When we didn't restage it, but we were configuring the show to fit in an arena, and so that didn't really change anything about the performances in the way that the blocking was set or anything, but it changed some of the technical aspects of the show. So we were having representatives from Nickelodeon come out anyway, and so it was a big thing. They were stressing to all of the performers was character integrity, getting the vocals correct. There was some leeway with us because we had adult men playing the pups, so my voice wasn't going to match Rubble's because he's voiced by an actual little boy,
Right.
but it was getting the essence of it and the vocal isms of Rubble, even though it was my like man voice.
Yeah.
But that we had that with so you said with the ponies, they're not horses. With
They
us,
were not horses.
they
Don't
were
even
not.
think they are.
No, and they weren't dogs. They were pups.
Ah.
I
What the heck is that? I'm sure within the company branding they have that like defined. What the heck a pup is.
I said dogs during rehearsal, and
Uh-oh.
the person who was setting the show started. She's like, "They're not dogs."
Oh,
they're
that's
pups."
true. You on publicity appearances also you got to be sure your branding is correct.
And I didn't do any of the publicity for that. I was so tired. I was like, I'm not driving the cast vans because when we were bused and flown to our cities, but we had vans that we rented each city to get from the hotel to the venue. And I was like, I'm not driving those. I didn't want the extra this isn't a podcast about me. I'm done.
You know what? This is a public service announcement. When you're doing publicities for shows for children's theater, don't bring green characters to news studios. Do you know why?
Oh, green screen.
Because of the green screen. And they always want you to do the weather. And you can't if you're green. Like, so you can't bring Rosita. You can't bring any character. You can't bring any dinosaurs in. None of that. So if you're designing a children's theater show and you want to do publicities at a local news station, if you can, don't make them green.
They will disappear. Who is calling my cell phone? Someone that I don't know.
Maybe they have a question for the podcast we can answer.
It's an 888 number. They're probably trying to sell me insurance. I have to deal with that. Anyway, speaking of dinosaurs, you also worked on a massive show with dinosaurs.
Yeah, I was on Dinosaur Train Live. That was a show produced by 3 companies: Henson and Gables Grove, which was John Tartaglia's company, and Mills Entertainment, which handled the road show aspect of it.
How was that? I mean, those things are huge.
Yeah, with we had top-notch puppets, but with puppet design, it is you can't predict all of the things that may happen to a puppet as it performs on the road for like 10 shows a week. So we tried to keep the puppets together as much as we could. They were well made, but all puppets break, and that was one thing that we struggled with on that show. But the puppets looked amazing. I mean, and, the fans of those the characters. I mean, people love that show. And there was confetti cannons, which is a must.
Kids love confetti.
Have you now? Almost every show I've been in has never confetti. I'm sorry, streamer cannons. Sesame Street Live used to use $60 of streamers per show, and we did like 10 shows a weat. That's a lot of money going towards streamers. It's an important aspect of the show. Have you been in shows with stream? Well, Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol and
Must
streamers. I was.
Did you have the cannons that shot with the air?
Yes, and
Okay.
the first time we heard them go off, it was scary.
I was even in a show called Go Dog Go where we had little streamers in our hands and we just threw it and it made a little firework display.
What?
Yeah. Oh, and we did in Caterpillar too. A little what do they call that? Chinese firework. And it's little rolled up pieces of paper and you put a ring on your hand and then you throw it and the long streamers come out.
The
Yes.
things that you get to do in kids theater.
Yeah, it's a neat effect.
What was I gonna say? I forget.
The things you get to do in kids theater.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna talk about. What did you get to do?
Oh, I don't. It doesn't matter what I got to do. I was gonna ask you. What is the craziest costume fix slash break that you had to deal with on the road?
Um. Hold on. I want to pick a story that won't hurt anybody's feelings. Costume break. I don't want to answer that.
Oh, okay. I'll just cut that whole section out. So, what is the coolest thing that you got to do because of children's theater?
Oh. I mean, nothing is more magical than getting to perform in another country in another language and then still have the audiences understand and respond to you. That's a magical experience. I remember for Sesame Street Live, I got to play Rosita in Mexico City, and she's a big star there, and it was fun. And then I went to China with Hungry Caterpillar, and it's so neat to see like how other countries respond. Like all throughout Asia, it seems like everyone's very, very quiet and polite and you think, oh gosh, they must hate the show, and then at the end they roar up. It's neat. I love it.
When you were performing,
but also, I'm sorry, also magical. Go perform My Little Pony Live in Casper, Wyoming. People will love it. Or perform in Laredo, Texas. The audiences all throughout Texas are amazing because, in Texas they always want to make it a party. They buy all the merch, and it's a big to do. I like performing in Texas a lot.
I spent a really long time performing in Texas, and I can agree.
Yeah.
What was it like performing in a different language? Did you have to mech the puppet to a track in another language?
Yes.
How was that for you?
You just learn you just relearn the show.
Wow.
Well, you practice with the track, and then you train for Sesame Street Live, you train your hand. For Hungry Caterpillar, for the different countries, we just had a what is this? A subtitle thing. A subtitle monitor thing. Yeah. And then we are doing, you and I, we work together. We keep forgetting. We are doing marionette shows in Chinese. And you are, I'm not. And we are doing marionette shows in Espanol. How is it? I mean, marionettes are different because they're not moving their mouths, so it's a little different, but.
Yeah, I mean, with me, I'm just trying to match the inflection of whatever voiceover is coming out. I don't have to worry about lip syncing.
Right.
Because there's no lips.
There's no lips. Lip syncing is easy without lips. That's what to take away from this.
What is oh my gosh, on RuPaul's Drag Race,
lip sync for your life?
But then someone had like a scarf over their face for the lip sync.
Now, that's a great idea.
Oh, it did not go well. Oh, there's a meme about it. Link in the show notes. Oh. I'm stringing the episode together in my head. I should just be able to have a conversation.
No, it's okay. Yeah. Let's talk about you and your feelings. What are your feelings on children's theater? How about this? This is something I wanted to talk to you about.
What?
Why isn't there a Tony for children's theater? What do you think?
Okay, so
children's theater is on Broadway. Some of the most successful long-running shows like Lion King from Disney theatricals are children's theaters. So like, why the disconnect? Why don't we define it?
That's a great question.
And I feel like children's theater as a genre is new. In the 80s, there was no children's theater. There was just cats. But now it's like, oh, it's children's theater or it's regular theater, and the none two shall meet. What do you think about that? It's messed up, right?
Well, I think, yes. I love that, there is a Disney on Broadway where right now it seems like it's just Disney that's producing children's theater that can technically qualify for Tony, because you have like the Frozen, Aladdin, Lion King, like all these.
But then why not give like a Tony for one of the Roadshow children's theater shows?
Oh, like the regional Tony?
Yeah, like a Sesame Street Live would win it every year.
That's true. I don't know what the qualifications are for the regional Tony.
No, there is.
I see.
But it happens a lot, yeah, and I get offended when people do the thing where they belittle children's theater.
Oh, that's what this podcast is all about.
About belittling
about
theater?
like defending, because I think it's something. I mean, children's theater has been such a part of my life. I was performing theater for kids when I was a kid, and then I just fell into it as an adult. And
do you like it better? Are you going to turn down the kids theater job to do the adult theater job, or vice versa?
It depends. Oh no, this isn't going in the show. I will say,
okay,
I wish that there was more theater for young audiences in New York City. Right now, we have whatever Disney show is playing on Broadway, the occasional live show at Radio City, which I don't think happens anymore. You had the Pokemon Live, you've had a few Disney live shows with like mascots, Rugrats Live at Radio City. Right now, there is the Disney's production of Winnie the Pooh happening off Broadway with some people that we know and love involved. And we have the theater at the Cottage. We have the Swedish Cottage Marionette Theater. And other than that, there are a few that, like, Lion Witch in the Wardrobe was for kids that closed recently. There isn't a lot of. Now that I'm saying it, I'm starting to realize.
But like, how about like I worked for Wildlife Theater with the Bronx Zoo, and that's a program where you take like a duffel bag of puppets into a classroom, and you do a 2-person show for a classroom. Is that children's theater or is that teaching a lesson? I don't know, but there are a lot of shows like that around New York City, a lot of programs like that.
I feel like children's theater.
But maybe that's where it gets its bad rap, because sometimes low-budget companies are trying to do the good work of bringing the theater into the classroom, and sometimes we don't have enough resources to make it look good.
Exactly, and I think that's when people think of children's theater, that's what they think of. And I do think things like that are important, and I think that is where there is an interesting line between just a lesson and a piece of theater. For instance, when I was in first grade, I remember someone coming in with a frog puppet to do a lesson about being careful what you're eating in your house, like not to go into the medicine cabinet and eat things that you think are candy, but actually that's Tums, and you can't have 7 of those.
And so this sounds like a pivotal moment in your life that you're just kind of breezing over. So you don't eat Tums now by bulk because a frog taught you?
Yes, I will eat Tums. I think they are delicious.
But you won't eat too many of them. You know they're dangerous in large amounts.
Yes, I will not down them the way that I downed Necco wafers on Halloween in the 90s.
So it taught you an important life lesson.
It did. When I was touring through central New York, I was doing a show about the Amazon, and that bridged the line between a piece of education and performance, because we did a show, but then we also did a pre-show workshop where the actors, I would go into the classroom and talk about the material that was in the show and how it's relevant to today, so that we separated out what was the lesson and what was the performance, but they wove together. Whereas some companies, it's all in one.
And may I also add, I think these like small time classroom shows are very important because theater is not always accessible to all populations.
No, that's a big thing, especially with the way that the curriculums are changing now. So many in New York State is like this, where you have the Common Core education, and certain arts programs are being cut, creative writing is being cut, and so schools are finding ways to bring arts back that fit within whatever budget constraints or what is or is not allowed.
Yeah.
So these little classroom lesson pieces of theater are a way to squiggle performance in to their kids' education.
Yeah, and there's a lot of use of YouTube also in the classroom, and I don't know.
I think it's so important for kids to see things live. I know
It is, but COVID right now is stopping us.
I know. Damn. No?
That's all, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Wow, 2 people are watching.
Hey, we're recording a podcast.
So why do you like children's theater?
Oh, you can read about that in my book.
Okay. And when can we find out about your book?
Oh my god, hopefully 2022. I like children's theater because this is a tough question for me.
Really?
Well,
for me, I like children's theater because it's all the fantastical things, talking animals and crazy situations and fantasy situations and those type of things.
I love it. As a performer, I love it because I don't stop moving. I'm either on stage doing something, and most kids shows, they don't have large casts. They're 2 of you or 6 of you, and sometimes you're on a massive stage and you have to fill that space with energy. And so you're up there doing something with, everything is high stakes no matter what. In kids theater, it's especially true. And if you're not on stage doing that, you're off stage changing your costume because, surprise, you play 3 other people in the show, or like 40.
Yeah.
And so I love that aspect. I think I have been doing tours since I was 22. And the aspect of putting my stage together, great workout. And also it made me feel really connected to the work that I was doing, whereas I've had shows where the set is just there, someone sweeps the stage for me, my costume is clean and pressed, and I feel less connected to the work that I'm doing.
I don't know, I like both. I've been on big like arena shows with semis, 30 people on the road with you, and then I've been on shows where it's like 6 people doing everything, and both are good in their own way, and both are terrible in their own way. It's the best of times and the worst of times. That's what being on the road is, in my opinion. It's either extreme boredom or extreme excitement or extreme anxiety. Those are the 3 emotions you can have on the road.
What are some things that you did to how did you navigate those feelings when you're on the road?
I don't know. Probably not in a healthy way.
Tell us everything. We want to know.
I do find, I don't know, being on the road with people, it feels like almost like an army buddy type of relationship. And once you've been on the road, I don't trust anyone until I've been to Ohio with them. Nothing important about Ohio, but the theaters in Ohio, you get pulled through it. So, But yeah, people you're on the road with, you form like an interesting bond, and maybe not friendly, but still an interesting bond. I'm sure you feel the same way, right?
Oh yeah, because you're sweating with these people. You are working with these people.
You're in Ohio with these people.
Ohio is so big.
Yeah, there are a lot of theaters in Ohio.
There's a lot of
There are a surprising amount of theaters in Indiana.
Yes.
Not one of my favorite states to go to. I'm sorry to the one person who's listening in Indiana who's now screaming at their phone, but what's your least favorite state? Let's make some enemies here. What's the worst state to perform in your opinion? I've performed in all states except Alaska, but I do have Puerto Rico.
Did you perform in Hawaii?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What show?
Two productions of Sesame Street Live. It's amazing. They've got a great theater in Honolulu and another one in Maui.
What else did you do there?
I mean, all kinds of things. Went snorkeling, went to the beach, went on hikes, went to a luau type of thing. Yeah, like a dinner theater type of performance with hula dancing. Hawaii's awesome. I love it.
I can't believe you got to go there for work.
Yeah, it was a highlight. Definite highlight.
How long were you there?
Probably about 3 weeks. Yeah, I'm lucky.
Yeah. Was that a big part of your tour, just getting there and then getting back?
Yeah, because that's true. Here's another thing. When a road show has to go across the ocean, you have to wait for a week for the set usually to be shipped, because it's usually too expensive to fly the gear. It needs to be shipped. And Sesame Street Live had enough money that they would leapfrog sets. So they could send one set early while you performed with the other set, and then by the time you arrived there, the other set would be there. But that's only for companies that have enough money to have multiple sets. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, when Hungry Caterpillar went to, when we first went to Hong Kong, it was too expensive to send the set over, so they did this badass thing where they sent the plans for how to build the set, and they built us a set. And then trashed it at the end. It was awesome.
Wow. Was it identical to the set you were used to?
Yes, of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That is cool, right? Have you performed in another country?
No. I performed in Canada. That doesn't count.
That counts. In Canada, they wear helmets for load-in. In the United States, they don't do that.
Oh, well, in Canada, I didn't have to be there for load-in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was with Paw Patrol, and so I just showed up to the theater and put on my unitard and did the thing. Have you done? Because a lot of the shows that you've done were things where the crew does most of the load in, right?
I mean, I think I've probably done half and half, where
Okay.
I've been on big shows that have enough people that there's technicians who are specialized, and little shows where the technicians are not specialized.
I mean, well, you have a pretty broad skill set then, so you have experience building shows, performing in shows, loading in and loading out shows.
Yeah, I guess so. And you do.
Yeah.
I guess that's what happens in this art form.
And we're putting all those skills.
And still we have time to complain. Jeez.
I want to ask you some things about designing clothes and designing costumes
I have
for puppets.
Okay, good.
Oh no, you go.
No, I don't want to talk about costuming for humans. Well, I could talk about New York City Ballet, but I don't want to talk about costuming for humans.
I want to hear about you. Oh, my echo just turned on. Now it's off. I want to hear about your experience making costumes for marionettes at the Swedish Cottage Marionette Theater. Most of our marionettes are about a foot tall.
Yeah.
And there are so many of them because there's so many different shows.
Yeah.
And they're generally built in house and they need clothes to wear, and they're not carved clothes. While the faces and hands are all carved, the clothes are fabric. What is it like designing clothes for a little wooden boy?
Oh, well, I mean, if you're being official about it, you'll make a sketch, but sometimes things are moving, things are behind, and you don't do that. But I usually do make a sketch, and then the next thing you do is you have to drape it, which means you take 2 pieces of fabric and you envelope the puppet inside of it. So that way you can find out what the diameter, or how to find pieces of fabric that will fit all the way around this like specialized body, because you have to draft your own patterns each time. So so you drape. That's called draping, when you sandwich the puppet inside 2 pieces of fabric. Then you trace where it would go together, and then you cut it out, and then you do something called truing the pattern, where you lay it down one side and trace it, flip it over, lay it on the other side and trace it, and then take the in-between. And then that's how you get a symmetrical shape of what you need to find a pattern piece that will fit equally around this puppet shape. And this is the same process when you're costuming any like weird shaped puppet. And then you build the costume piece from a sewing perspective. You use the same type of idea when you make little pants and making blazers with collars, and then you continue to sew like normal. Yeah, I do take a few shortcuts because they are so small and things won't necessarily show up, but yeah, that's the process of how to get started. And if you want to see how to do this process, it is on my YouTube channel. You can make your own jacket and vest for a marionette, and you can make puppet pants.
That's so cute. Little pants.
Yeah, little pants.
How much time are you usually given to create a costume?
Well, when I'm approached, I usually ask for what the scope of it is, so I can kind of judge. The simplest thing to make is like a puppet prairie dress. I can do that in about like a few hours. But if it's more intricate, like there's collars and sleeves and more details, that'll take more time, a week, 2 weeks, more weeks. More weeks are better. I like to know beforehand. Yeah, so when somebody approaches you to make a costume, that's what you should ask. What is the scope of the project, and when do you need it by?
At the cottage, their shows have a lot of puppets in each of them. Are you required? Do they ask you to make costumes for all of them?
I mean, if it's a new show and I'm the one that's building the costumes, yeah, you costume the whole show. And a thing specific with marionettes, they don't do costume changes well at all because their strings are through, so you have to build doubles if you need like a costume change in a marionette show. So I've encountered that. And I don't know what else. Sometimes I have been asked to refurbish costumes because they get gross and old, and that's a little easier because you can take apart the previous costume, lift the pattern, like trace the pattern pieces, so that saves time. And then build new.
What are your resources for fabric for marionettes?
My resources are you writing this down? Okay, my favorite fabric stores in the city are, for cheap, Save-A-Thon in Harlem on 103rd Street and 3rd Avenue. The problem with Save-A-Thon is if you need to rebuild, like with Paddington, I've built it several times, the same costumes, and I need to have the same exact fabric each time. You can't go to Save-A-Thon for that. They get what they get from wherever they get it, and when it runs out, you can't get more. So if you want to, if it's a thing you might have to build multiple times, don't go to Save-A-Thon. But if you need cheap, go to Save-On. That's the only place left in the city that has $1 a yard fabric. My other favorite place to go is Elegant Fabrics in the Garment District. They're nice because they have like a little code that you can write down, and then they can always bring back the same exact fabric that you bought from them previously. So for all the Rockefeller stuff, I try to go there. And then if I'm really if it's like a specialized wool or something for suiting, then I'll go to Mood. But I hate going to Mood because it's such a madhouse in there, and you can't get any help. But so those are my 3 choices. And then, of course, then there's like trim stores and button stores that you have to go to. And, if possible, whenever I'm building, try to get a resource where you can buy the same exact thing again. Because it needs to be the same each time you rebuild something. We don't encounter that at the cottage very often, but at Rockefeller Productions, where they're making licensed characters, yes, they need the exact same thing because the publicity photos have to match whatever set are coming in. So it needs to look exactly the same. The
Did you study costuming?
I did not. When I was a kid, I was in 4-H, and one of the projects in 4-H is sewing. And my mom has she's a seamstress, and she, through the 4-H program, she taught me how to sew. I even learned how to tailor wool suits as like as a kid, and I used to be in these competitions called the Make It with Wool contest. Yes,
what?
they are fashion shows that happen at local malls, put on by the National Wool Growers Association to promote people sewing with 100% wool. And I made like several suits, and if you win, you can win fabric and scissors and really glamorous stuff, like Pendleton fabric, like really nice 100% wool. And it's got to be 100% wool. And how you find out if fabric is 100% wool is you take strands of it and you put it in bleach overnight. And if it's all disappeared by the next morning, it's 100% wool. If there's still strands of plastic left over, you can't use it. So that's a good test for any of you who need to find out if you're using 100% wool or not. And for when I was a teenager, the last Make It with Wool competition, I made a 100% wool gown for like prom. I made a wool gown, and I did wear it to a high school dance, and it was hot.
I want to see pictures.
I don't, that was way before there were cameras. Cameras were invented.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if there's a picture.
I want to see oil paintings.
But yeah, so that's my sewing journey, and it's proven to be helpful because I've gotten several seamstress jobs since moving to New York.
Were you a puppet builder and costumer for companies like Rockefeller and the cottage before you were a performer, vice versa, or were you hired?
My degree is in dance. And then I worked for Sesame Street Live, and I got a foot injury. And then I was so distraught because I moved to New York to be a dancer. I wanted to be Anne Reiking or whoever. And so I couldn't renew my contract on the last, I had this terrible foot injury, and I was like, oh God, what do I do? And when I'm in crisis, I go visit my friend Wendy in Austin, Texas. And I went to her, and I was hanging out with her, and then she had to go to some event, and there was a fortune teller at the event. And so I went to this fortune teller, and I asked him, I said, will I ever dance again? And he puts out all the tarot cards, and he said, yes, but you'll have new legs. And I was like, what does that mean? And then 2 weeks later, I saw the audition notice for the Swedish Cottage Marionette Theater. And then I went to it, and I have Sesame Street on my resume. It says the word, it's a dance job, it's a separate company, but it says the word Sesame Street. So I think that's why they thought maybe I might know anything about puppetry. And they hired me for some reason. And that was my first puppetry job. And since then I've been slowly doing more and more puppetry. And that's how I got into it. By accident.
Do you still dance?
I teach tap on Zoom if anybody wants to take lessons from me.
I do.
Yeah, all right. I'm cheap. I'm $20 a lesson.
All right.
On Zoom, yeah.
And you also freelance as a costumer and puppet builder, and
Not so much as a costumer. If it's for puppets.
yeah.
Yes, I have my own company that I do. I don't do a lot of freelance work. I would like to do more, but yeah. I have a LLC.
Oh.
Yeah, I do. Do you know about an LLC? You should start an LLC. You should get an LLC for the podcast. It's $200, and all an LLC is it protects the money that's made with the project separately from your own funds. So if somebody sues the project, they can't go after your personal money. That's what an LLC helps with.
I'm sure everyone's gonna sue this podcast after what I've gotta say.
I don't know. What are you gonna say next?
I'm gonna wreck some company names. No, just
Yeah, you have to be careful.
I know, that's why we don't talk about them.
Yeah, sometimes if we talk about, we're talking about industry mistakes. Have you ever signed I think one of the scariest things in our industry is signing non-disclosure agreements. Have you signed those?
I've signed a couple.
Yeah.
I had to sign one for an
What?
audition recently.
For an audition?
Yeah.
So, and now you can't talk about what happened in that audition ever? Did you get the part?
No, but we know someone that did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And then for Disney, I can say that I had to sign one for Disney.
That you wouldn't reveal like the backstage secrets of Disney, so they can maintain the magic. Was that?
Yeah. Otherwise,
was
people would know
motivation?
where Mickey's cabin is, and they would knock on his door and ask for autographs.
That makes sense.
I can't tell them that. So it's stuff like that, and then other well, this is different, but licensee kind of things too. So if I'm in rehearsal and come up with something new, and they liked it, that is maintained as their Disney's idea. That is now theirs. I'm like, that's fine. They're not gonna. I don't think they took any ideas from me. I can check, but I don't think they kept anything.
Wow.
But yeah.
That was for the performing contracts?
Yeah, for the main stage, because those shows kind of ebb and flow with stylistically and different choices.
Sometimes as a puppet builder, you have to sign non-disclosure agreements in order to tell the client if you're able to take on the build or not, because they have their project that they want to keep secret until they're ready, but you can't tell them if you can build it until you have to sign the agreement so that they can show you what their project is that they need built.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to deal with that then?
I mean it's not a huge deal, but yeah.
Wow.
And then you can say this is too much. No.
then you walk around with that knowledge.
You
like,
walk
I
around with
know.
that exciting knowledge that you know what show is coming up.
Yeah.
And you know you're not building it.
You know,
or
someone
maybe
out
that
there.
you are building it.
Yeah. Someone out there is making that.
I mean, not like I'm a big hot shot. I'm like a one person, like, puppet building. And then I work with other groups. But I'm sure at the big, like, at the big shops, it's even higher stakes.
The world of puppetry especially is so small.
It is.
So one thing gets out, everyone's going to know the next day.
Yeah.
You know, even like, especially because like in New York, we have, you know, Henson's over there.
And we associate with them all the time.
I know.
Now call me, Henson. I'm available.
And then you have Rockefeller doing, you know, all sorts of. Well, I mean, we can say now like they're doing Pooh. They did 100 Caterpillar, Golden Girls, Paddington, the other thing that's
Yeah.
yeah. It's like being a spy. This has been the most exciting. No offense to anyone else I've interviewed, but like this is thrilling. Okay, I do want to ask
Why
this.
is TYA important?
How did your work in children's theater propel you forward?
What?
How has your work in this industry propelled you forward as an adult?
No. We are all addicted to theater. We're addicted to it, and we just, at least this is my mindset, you just want to like get the next job. It's not a healthy relationship, but it's the relationship I have. So I've never been like, how does it, you know, I'm always just trying to get the next show, get gradually more glamorous and fabulous. So that's how I approach my, not, this is not advice, but that's how I approach it. But how do you feel about it? You feel like it's birthed you into a new, you feel like children's theater has created a new personality for you. You have come out of your chrysalis and you are now a butterfly through the chrysalis, which is children's theater.
Yes.
Because you say that a lot. You use it as a metaphor, like it's helped you grow up or it's changed you as a person.
Yeah, I mean, in a couple aspects, because I've traveled to do children's theater, so I've seen different parts of the land and sea surrounding the land because of children's theater.
You've been to Peoria, Illinois. You've played Springfield, Massachusetts.
Oh my god, I have.
Everyone has.
Yeah,
it's
House.
Required.
Is that the one with the lift? Where you like?
Oh gosh, I don't know. You only remember the 3 best and the 3 worst.
Oh my, okay, I can't even talk about it. But anyway, I think I've acquired a number of life skills because of children's theater. I have, while touring, met a number of people, made a number of mistakes, which you know, everyone makes in their 20s.
Yeah.
And that has been...
Like tequila.
Oh! Let me tell you about September of 2018.
Okay.
No, I won't. You have to buy my book, which is also called Pipe and Drape. And that
Is this the big reveal?
Is this the big reveal? Hello, one person watching. I wrote a book. It's called Pipe and Drape.
And you can't find it yet.
You can't find it yet. But like I've made so many. I've gone through a lot of growing pains via the road of children's theater, and I still would have grown up no matter what, because everyone grows up except one. Whatever the quote is from Peter Pan. I have the book right there.
There's something weirdly dramatic and pulls at your heartstrings about the road. It does change you in general, but you feel that children's theater specifically has changed you.
I think it's kept me young.
You are young.
Yes, but like I think that it has kept me. I've spent so much time living in worlds created for kids and performing for kids and interacting with kids.
And playing a kid.
And playing kids. It's just the nature of the business. And so I never quite left the mindset of of being a kid, even though I was physically maturing into an adult and encountering things like, paying my own insurance, paying off things, paying, moving, growing, falling in love, falling out of
Signing
love.
NDAs.
I was about to say signing leases, but
Signing contracts.
Signing contracts. Making decisions.
Reading contracts.
Reading contracts. Making big decisions. Like I had to make a decision if I would take my equity card or not.
And did you?
I did not.
No.
I was 24 and I was not ready to do it, and that was a big adult decision that I had to make.
Me too. I was offered to join equity with Little Prince, and I didn't feel like there was enough. Of course, the equity is different now, but there aren't enough puppetry jobs to qualify paying all those union dues. So I decided not to join.
It's hard to be a puppeteer.
But I still cling to the glamour of being offered
the
chance to join. I mean, that's the same as people who are in it. I'm just doing it for free.
So.
And with what? What are you thinking?
And with
next?
a conclusion lesson, I never do that. Okay, so. Arlee, how can people find more of your work and reach out to you?
You can reach out to me at puppetsbyarlee@gmail.com. You can find me at puppetsbyarlee on YouTube. And then those are the preferred ways of you finding me. I want to end the list there. That's how to find me.
All right. So be sure to check out those things. I'm going to stop recording this so we can keep going on here if you want. Is there anything else you want to add before I hit end?
Gosh, if I had like one super duper cute story. You know what? One of the most magical one of the most magical children's theater experiences I've ever had was I've done many shows for deaf and hearing impaired. And so they bring, even in Imagination, which was a show that was completely in the dark, they gave our sign language interpreter these bright neon yellow gloves, and she would sign for the kids on stage with us, like off to one side, of course. And I've always thought that was really cool. But then one time at a random theater in Virginia somewhere, I don't know, we did a show for blind kids. And it really changed my perspective of who deserves to enjoy theater and how kids can enjoy theater. Because we did the show for the blind kids. For the visually impaired kids. It's unfair to label everyone as blind. Everyone's visually impaired at different levels. And then we went and we took the puppets. This was for Hungry Caterpillar, by the way. We took them into a meet and greet. And we showed the kids the puppets, and it was so neat. The kids would I'd walk up and I would say, "Who would like to touch the purple cat?" You know, kids would raise their hands, then I'd take their hands and put them on the puppet, and then it was a really amazing experience, and it taught me that I don't necessarily know who deserves to enjoy theater depending on who they are. And that was a really special show for me.
I like that.
Yeah.
Arlee, thank you for speaking with me today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Is there anything else? No, that's me. I would have, because I went through like my stuff. So then, if you have things you'd like to be in the episode, but we haven't covered yet.
Oh gosh, I can't think of anything else. I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would push save.
Wow. What a huge file
Hello.
that is. Oh,
I
hello.
know. Oh, this is gonna be so fun.
One person. Now this is a huge job to edit.
Yes.
That's gonna take hours, and I appreciate that you do that. Holy cow!
Oh my god, yeah. This is, and it's also fun for me to go back and listen, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, because then that like really helps it sink in, because it's like this weird battle between like having a conversation, but then like
Trying to
like
imagine
going
what you're
along
going
the
to
thing, and then so then it's going back, and like I try, and I like talked a lot in this, and I try not to talk too much.
Oh.
So I cut out my
Oh,
bits
but
a lot.
I think it's nice. It would be nice to know who the heck you are. But that's with the dinkies.
That's the dinkies, and that's when you buy the book.
Oh, it's going to be in the book.
It's
yeah.
gonna be, well, then that's the thing. So the way that I structured I'm gonna talk to the one person that's watching too. The way that I structured this podcast was based on my book. So I when I wrote the book, I went through what the audition for the job was like, how I got the audition, what the offer was like, and then the very basics that were in my contract, like how much I was paying, what my gym situation was, any like random perks from the job, and then what kind of job it was. So if it was like actor ASM, touring in a like 15 passenger van, or like a bus and truck situation, and then I would go into the rehearsal process of the show, the like a 1 day in the life of performing the show, then kind of unusual things that were still required of me, like VIP meet and greets, and then I would tell stories just about like, and then this happened to me on the road, and then I end each chapter with things that I learned from the contract, and then songs that remind me of the contract. So yeah.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to read it.
One day.
These two people would also love to read it.
I'm
should
hoping,
make it available to them.
I would love to. So at the cottage, I will be on my computer a lot, and I usually have the book open, and I'm working on it. Yeah, because doing the job at the cottage has actually helped me remember stuff from tour, because it's been a second since I've had to do van stuff, and so like, for instance, the other day when we were loading up the van and like putting things on the wheel wells inside, I'm like, wait a minute, I
Truck
remember.
packs.
Yeah, I'm like, every single time I have to do this, I know that the poles have to go on this side or this side on top of the wheels, like regardless of what show it is. So that's something that I added to the book, and just like stuff like that, or you know, and I talked something that I already talk about like in the book before even working at the cottage, was like company morale.
Oh yeah.
And I've just been reminded.
Did you have Fuck You Fridays? Or I'm sorry, did you have Fuck You Februarys?
No.
Oh,
What's
at
that?
B. Well, you have Christmas break, and then you come back, and then February happens, and everyone's over it, and it's called Fuck You Februarys, and and that's when fights break out, and and so they named it
So
Fuck You Februarys.
I'm actually like rarely on contract in February.
Oh yeah, because V used to have like 9-month, 12-month contracts.
When I was with them, I was in a weird situation for some reason where my contract only went till January. So it was like end of June to beginning of January, and then I had the option to renew until the next June, and I said no, because I had another offer already for
Something that paid higher.
No, it was just something else that I wanted. If choosing between the two, I was like, and so I like, it was either staying on to make money doing Paw Patrol still, or not renew my contract and do my dream show. So I was like,
This is your dream show?
Yeah.
This?
Really? Are you surprised?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It's kind of excellent.
No. Tell me your thoughts.
Isn't the story about? Well, I guess the story is cute. It's about a quirky autistic guy who figures out why this dog has died.
Have you seen it?
I've read the first half of it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how it ends.
Oh, there's like a lot of twists.
Oh, okay.
I saw Curious Incident on Broadway, and I was immediately like obsessed with it. I was like, I have to do this show. And so.
So you've done your dream show.
So I've done my dream show.
I guess you can die now.
Actually, though, because then after that I was.
Now what?
Well, that was the thing. So Paw Patrol was actually.
Now you can die at the Swedish Cottage.
This doesn't get recorded forever, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a nice place to work, but it's like the cottage is like the DMV. You know, like it's a government-run, city-run organization. Now imagine, like the DMV, you're waiting in line, things are messed up, you got to do all the paperwork. Everyone's kind of lazy. Now imagine running a puppet theater at the DMV.
I thought that Paw Patrol would be my farewell to children's theater.
Really?
Yeah, especially since I was going into that, because that like changed me forever. Then I had the chance to audition for, like, the Disney audition just came up as soon as this closed, and I was like, I've already been in callbacks with them, let me just go. And then I got it. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing more TYA, but it's gonna pay a lot in travel, so I'm gonna do it. And then the pandemic happened, so I was like, okay, well now I'll do anything to be working again. So I'm back, and it's like I'm so grateful to be at the cottage. I just didn't think I would be doing children's theater anymore.
But then now you're dedicating this podcast to it. So
I am.
That shows a fair amount of dedication to the art form.
Because I think that's so important. I think it has changed my life, and it's been an important part of my life. And I wouldn't be who I am today without it. You know, it's like something I think about a lot. Like, you know, like what if I did this? What if I did this? I could have gone to college in New York, and then I didn't. I went to school in Philly instead, and I think about, like, well, what if I went to school in New York City? What kind of person would I be? Would I be like a harder?
Yes.
Would I have been like more edgy?
Yeah, you would
like,
you would roll down car windows and say, "New York,
like
we're walking here."
Yeah. Or, you know, would I have given up, or would I have been exactly the same? But, like, you know, because of children's theater, I got to travel and experience more.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people, like, when they jump right into doing full-ass equity production stuff out of college, they're missing a big part of, like, you're not getting that crew experience. You're not learning, like...
Although to say that full-ass equity stuff is, like, the top of the food chain, it's not for everyone. Like, a puppetry job, it's, you know...
Yeah.
So stop with this glorifying full-ass equity stuff.
Well, I mean full-ass as in, like...
Full-ass equity.
Like...
Pearl-clutching equity stuff.
Like, my ass is full of the equity paycheck. And I don't mean that in insulting way. I mean, like...
somebody said something.
Oh, my God.
I don't know how to... What? Did you... Hello! Wait, how do you find out what they said?
Oh.
Oh, gosh. Wait.
Do we, like, flip it?
I don't know.
Oh, wait, there's the comment thing.
Okay, wait. Well, it's gone now. Okay.
Chat viewing options.
Okay, click
live
it.
chat? Sorry, I'm touching your phone.
Oh, that's fine. Is that guy your husband? What a great question. Are you my husband?
No, wait,
No.
when was that question sent? 6 something?
Yeah.
Oh, it's 6 something now. No, we are co-workers.
Yeah, we're co-workers at the Swedish Cottage Marionette Theater in Central Park in New York City. And he has a podcast that we just recorded called Pipe and Drape about children's theater in New York City. And if I remember, children's theater through an American lens, because I believe this user is from the UK.
Oh my god, hey! I actually just interviewed someone from New Zealand.
Yes.
Yeah, so the last episode, it was cool to hear about so many similarities, but then funny differences that have nothing to do with theater, too. So my guest, Anna, I said grade school, and that term doesn't exist in New Zealand.
Oh, interesting. My favorite theater in the world is in London, and it's called the Little Angel Theater. And
Yes.
do you know it?
I follow them on Instagram.
A friend of mine, Liz, I was in England, in London, doing a very cool show called Manufacturing Mischief. And it played in an art museum. But Liz, who worked at the cottage, she got us tickets to the Little Angel Theater, and we went. And it was so amazing. And then we got to go backstage into the shop, and it was magical. It's like Santa's workshop back there. There was a cat that lives there, and the lady, the husband who has started the theater, he has since died, but the wife, she told us that, you know, back in the 60s, they just bought this plot of land. They bought the building, and then they didn't realize they also had bought the shed afterward. They bought the shed behind the theater, and then they turned that into the workshop. And it's magical. It's like right out of a story, like a fairy tale, with like wood shavings everywhere and puppet pieces hanging everywhere. It's amazing.
That's what I want the cottage to be.
That's what we want it to be, but yes. Okay, do we have any others? Any? Oh! No, it's fine! Thank you for engaging with our little live stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anything else to say about this podcast? Are you going to keep doing this podcast?
Yes. So
What's up for the what do we have in store? There are 2 people watching. Tell the 2 fans what's coming up on the Pipe and Drape podcast. So the first season's about road shows, right?
Yes. So first season is about touring, tour life, creating things to travel.
Yeah.
And then season 2, I'm going to focus on in-house children's theaters.
Oh.
So there are companies that I would love to get in touch with. Some in the city, some elsewhere. That
try the Little Angel Theater. Try to see if you can get someone to interview with you. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I would like to, especially like I want to hear more about like children's theater in other countries to see, because
there's a big puppet theater in Beijing. I don't know. Maybe you can get someone.
Oh my gosh.
And then what are you going to do after theaters?
Give up.
I think you should go small. Because you're kind of on the glamorous side of children's theater. I think you should look into the ghetto. Because some really interesting things are happening on the low budget world.
So I actually, during the Puppet Fringe, someone came up to us backstage and was talking, and they were up from Texas. I wrote it down.
Who was it?
I forgot. Wait, no. I mean, I have their information in my in a note in here.
The 2 people watching don't have any. Come on.
Oh my gosh. Don't leave, 2 people.
Thank you for watching.
I thank you for coming into my apartment, 2 people.
Yeah, we're in Washington Heights. And there are not people singing and dancing in the streets, which I was upset to see.
I can dance in the streets. Okay, her information is somewhere in this document, but I just
She was a
don't know
puppeteer?
where. So she was a puppeteer
From Texas?
from Texas.
Was it Honey Good Enough?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I would have remembered that name. Does theater in libraries.
Oh, cool.
So that's, I think, like a theater in not unusual spaces, but like
That's
something
a
more like
tradition.
that.
But yeah,
Like-
it's like its own thing.
Yeah, where it's like one person and a guitar.
The classrooms. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I will talk about that frog puppet with the
Yeah.
with the medicine cabinet drugs.
Yeah.
It was like a board, and it like did a side-by-side comparison of all these medications and like things.
Do you see it in your brain when you open the medicine cabinet and grab for the Tums? Does it pop into your brain?
When I take Advil, it does, because it was like, is it a red M&M or is it ibuprofen?
Oh, okay, so
You
it
know?
was influential on you.
Yeah, it did, and well, stuff like that really did have an effect on me. I mean, like, this isn't theater, but like the DARE program in school, like,
I don't know if that's a fair comparison.
well, it almost was like theater because our,
So, do you remember the 8 ways to say no? Go. Broken record. No and walk away. What else?
cry, scream.
There wasn't
speak
anything
in
about the DARE
tongues.
program. Did they? Now, I did DARE, in the mid-90s. Really at the height, I think. And they taught us all of the street names for the different drugs, which at the time when I was in 5th grade, I was very uncomfortable with. Like, you're like, it's called blow, and sometimes it's called snow, and sometimes it's called powder. And we had to memorize the different street names.
No.
Yeah.
We learned the street names in middle school. So I had DARE just in 5th grade, and then I just had regular in health class. We talked about drugs like every year. And that's in middle school is when I learned the other names for things. DARE at my school was mostly focused on not smoking
Oh, okay.
or
And do you smoke?
drinking. No.
Okay, excellent.
No, but I also, I mean, like, no one in my family smokes either, so I know that's like a big thing where, like, if your parents
I'm sure Nancy
smoke,
Reagan would love to take credit for the fact that you don't smoke.
Hello, Reagans.
And maybe you could do so you want to do unconventional children's theater.
Yeah.
So you've done road shows, theaters, unconventional children's theater. That's a good theme.
Yeah, and I think throughout I do want to touch on things like I would love to have like a theater ed episode,
Theater ed?
theater education. Just like talk about like.
Have you ever, one of the joys, have you ever gotten to like do a show and then have college students come and ask you what it's like to be a professional working in the theater industry? And you get to be like, oh yes, as a theater professional, you want to be sure to update your resume. And all the kids are like, oh yeah.
I've never had that.
Oh, it's so great. It's one of my favorite things. It makes me feel like so much more important.
Have you gone back to speak at your school, like since you've like graduated?
No,
Okay.
they've not asked. I would go. I would want to be paid, but yeah, I would go. They do have a link of people from the dance department at Colorado State University, go Rams, of people who have gone on to do anything significant. We got one person who landed on Cirque du Soleil.
Okay.
We got one person who went into cruise ships, and a few others, and then me, who's been several like not glamorous dance jobs. I mean, I got a costume gig at New York City Ballet, but that's not glamorous. But like children's theater stuff. So,
Sounds good.
So yeah. Oh, okay. No one is watching now.
Oh.
Maybe we can say goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, one person.
Oh, hi.
Oh. Goodbye.
Goodbye. We're just about to stop. But thanks for watching. We're gonna stop, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Venmo me $4,000.
Venmo, also me. Okay, end.